Thank you, Mr. Fagan. Good evening, everyone, both joining us in person and those of you that are joining us virtually. To our, what is today? The 23rd, Tuesday, July 23rd, Town Council meeting. We do not have a robust conference agenda tonight. So with my colleagues' support, going to once we get started, we're going to make some changes to the agenda so that we can take care of some things a little earlier in the evening rather than later. So having said that, let us get started. Madam Clerk.
This is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The annual notice was emailed to the Star Ledger and filed in the Township Clerk's office on November 21st, 2023, and published in the West Orange Chronicle on November 30th, 2023. Councilwoman Castellino?
Present.
Councilwoman Geber Michael?
Present.
Councilwoman Scarpa?
Present.
Councilwoman Williams?
Present.
Council President Rutherford.
Here, thank you, Madam Clerk. Before we go into our, as you can see, we don't have a conference agenda tonight. What I'd like to do, discussed it with Madam Clerk and with the license holders, I'd like to move our ABC hearing up so we can handle the two items, 749-24 and 750-24 now. Get that out of the way. And release these gentlemen back to their evening.
Can I have a motion to do so?
That is the motion. Is there a second?
Okay. Okay. Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael?
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes,
Okay, perfect.
thank you. So we are going to start with 749.
Okay. Mr. Williams, that's you. This is a resolution authorizing a person-to-person transfer of ABC license 0722-33004-002 from Bow and Arrow Manor, Inc. to Legacy Manor LLC, 109-111 Prospect Avenue, West Orange, New Jersey.
Good evening, everyone. Robert C. Williams appearing on behalf of the applicant, the Legacy Manor LLC, hopefully to be trading very shortly as the Grand Chateau. I have with me the two principal members of the LLC. I'd like them to step forward. We have Darius Kadita and Eric Belinsky. They will be running the former premises of the manor. Both of my clients have extensive experience in catering. They currently operate the Royal Manor in Barfield and the Bethwood in total. So we're looking forward to restructuring one of the finest facilities in the state of New Jersey, the Manor, into the Grand Chateau. Tonight, we're asking you to approve the transfer of the license so that we can move forward and hopefully in a few short months, invite you up for a grand opening.
Beautiful.
And we're here if you have any questions. Other than that,
Sure.
I'll ask your approval.
Yeah, thank you. This is really exciting news and, just sort of the long time the manor has been there and now going to stay a banquet facility. We were once known as the wedding capital of the state, and hopefully we could get back to that status, especially as we move forward to our New Jersey tourism and destination status. So just a few questions on what you're looking to do to the complex. Are you renovating or are you?
Yes, excuse me. I don't know. This works? Yeah. Yeah, so our goal is to clean up, beautify and renovate, repair the rooms and then kind of keep it within, we're not thinking about extending it right now. We're keeping to stay within footprint of the building, renovate the building and revive it.
And what about the dome room? I know that was always used as a separate bar, restaurant. Would that be open to the
That's-
public or you're still just, it's all?
We
all
don't
done?
know yet. Obviously, we have to do extensive repairs to the dome because the whole area hasn't been renovated by Noah's family. So we kind of don't have plans to open up to the public as a la carte at this point.
So right now, your plans moving forward are as a banquet
Banquet
facility,
facility.
focusing mainly on like
Weddings and special occasions,
Celebration.
celebrations.
celebrations.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. And thank you for investing in our township. Look forward to working with you.
Colleagues, any questions?
We're just
Wish you
very
all the best.
excited to
Thank
have-
you. Yes.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen, all of you for coming. So, if there's a motion to entertain.
I move for the acceptance of the resolution.
Hold on a second, I'm sorry, I lost my,
It's okay. 7:49.
okay, so. Who offered the first? Sorry.
I did.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Castellino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael.
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes,
Once
Okay,
again,
the
thank
motion
you
is
for
carried.
accommodating us. We look forward to seeing you again. at
Thank
the
you.
Grand Chateau.
thank
We
you,
look forward
gentlemen.
to the
We
ribbon
wish you the
cutting.
best. Yep. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Absolutely. Thank you.
If it's easy.
Okay.
7:50?
Yes. 750 is for one license. I provided the resolution to you this evening. It is for the restaurant on Main Street. Jenny's LLC trading as Chimpum Kaleo Restaurant and Lounge. She received her tax clearance certificate today, has paid all fees. She's ready to renew. And then that's it. She's ready to go. So is there a motion to approve 750? It is, I believe it's 274 Main.
I move for the acceptance of this resolution.
Okay. Councilwoman Castellino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael.
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
The motion is carried.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Now I need a motion to adjourn ABC and enter
I make a
into
motion.
the,
To get back to the conference agenda.
yes.
I'd like to give my colleagues a chance to do their announcements.
Okay, perfect. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries.
Excellent. So we're going to begin, we'll go in alphabetical order with any liaison announcements that you would like to offer or any other updates. We are 12 minutes before 7. So if you can, please be mindful of the time.
Sure.
So Councilman, you want to do your announcement?
I have no announcements.
Okay. I'm sorry, I skipped you, Councilwoman,
That's okay.
Councilman Castellino.
Yes, so, we're in the midst of the summer, but no shortage of summer activities and great events going on throughout the community. Want to thank our Deputy Mayor, Rodolfo Rodriguez, our world language supervisor of the high school, Felix, I apologize, his last name escapes me right now, Santos, and the whole team of the Hispanic Foundation organization. They did an awesome job on Saturday night, July 13th with Hispanic Latin night. And it was a great time for all. It was hot, but it was very cool in many ways. So we want to thank them for all their efforts and giving the community a great event. Our Downtown Thursdays continue. Since we last met, we had a really great turnout for, again, Latin night. So it must be that salsa music that's bringing everybody out. And we were down on Torrey Corner, shut down the street in front of Washington School on Franklin Avenue, had about 100 folks out there. They had a great time. This past Thursday, we were in Quigley's parking lot for a family pajama party. We had some folks from the neighborhood come out for that, which was a really hot night, but the kids had fun playing games and the parents as well. And this Thursday, if it doesn't rain, we've been lucky with the rain, so I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. We'll be at Supreme Bakery in front of the PNC Bank in that courtyard there with live music. and games for the kids again. We have some volunteers that will run and get your food, and we have tables out. So, we encourage, and people have been buying purchasing dinners at the local restaurants and bringing the food back to eat at the festivities. So it's just a chill, relaxing night. As we move forward, you could come down to West Orange downtown and catch your energy and continue to enjoy the summer nights with us. Also, I went to I'm on the board trustees for the Friends of the Library last Monday night, and we're planning a very big book sale. We have a lot of books that have been stored up for quite some time. Hopefully, we look forward to moving them at the beginning of September. And the Friends are still looking for active members. We're saving to buy a activity board for the children's section in the new building. It's a lot of great and exciting activities there. We look forward to opening back up in the spring. And let's see, what other event? Oh, and I got to visit OSPAC. I won't steal the thunder from my colleague, but I did get to see Sisters Act Friday night, and it was just so awesome. Just the talent. We had many town residents in this play, and they were just truly just awesome. So it was a great night and a beautiful cooled off. Thursday was extremely hot.
It was beautiful.
And Friday night it cooled off. And I just want to thank all the volunteers that come out all summer to entertain our town residents. So look on the websites, a lot of activities still left in the summertime. And that's it. I just want to, I would be remiss, I know, and I'm going to ask Council President on the agenda this evening. We're in the midst of hiring a new CFO. Our current CFO, John Gross, is retiring at the end of this month. And I know he is unable to make it with us this evening. I hope we could invite him in to be recognized for his retirement. He's given us many years of service, and there was the staff had given him a party last night that was very touching. And our longtime employees deserve recognition when recognition is due. When Mr. Gross started with the township, I was not here, did not hire him, but when I first came on, we did not have an IT department, and he had actually formulated that for the township amongst many other procedures as we've been antiquated in years past. So I just wanted to give recognition where recognition is deserved, and thank him for all his years of service. And hopefully we could do that properly in a meeting to come. So Council President, if you can mark that on your calendar, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Scarpa.
Great. As Councilwoman Castellino mentioned, Latin night was more fun than I ever dreamed. I picked up Rosary Morelli and thought I would have a dance partner for my salsa lessons, but unfortunately she refused to dance. So I want to thank Superintendent Hayden Moore for accompanying me as my dance partner on salsa lessons. He was fabulous. The kids would be very proud of him, and we had a wonderful time. Camille Vecchio from Pleasant Valley Productions and OzPac. I want to thank her for her generous support of our seniors in bringing them to Sister Act. I know that she has a lot of productions where she just about breaks even. Finances are always tough. We were able to give her a grant, a block grant, and she is very grateful to all of the council members for that and asked me to thank you. We had a fabulous time at Sister Act. Laura and Noelia from Senior Services did an incredible job, and Mike Fonzino too spent a lot of time trying to help us get transportation for that evening. I know it was not easy. It was a real feat, and thank you for all of your efforts. And Noelia for actually joining us. If you saw the look on the face of the seniors as they got off that bus, there were canes, there were walkers. On a Saturday night, these seniors would never be able to get out by themselves. And it was only because of our generous efforts that they were able to join us for the play. In fact, there was a little couple there, and they told me they were on a date. They were from the senior housing, and I asked them where they typically go on their dates, and they said to me that they don't drive. So I said, well, we have to get the bus again for another concert so you can have another date. So I want you to know that all of your generous gifts and all of the work that we do for our seniors is not only so appreciated, but they really wouldn't be able to get out and socialize the way they do if we didn't support them. So thank you to all who helped me with that. And let's see, I think that's about it on the council.
Thank you, Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, Council President. I would like to share that the Municipal Alliance Commission will be holding their meeting for the last part of the quarter. That's going to be via Zoom on July 30th at 3 p.m. That is an open public meeting, and the link is on the Township Municipal website at westorange.org. The Arts Council ended their June season with their Juneteenth exhibition, but they are seeking artists for their Latin exhibition that's going to be coming up in September and October. So if there are any artists, aspiring artists, local artists, professional artists that would like to submit their work, please do so and contact the West Orange Arts Council. I'd like to also just salute the Sheila Oliver Civic Association for hosting their first event honoring the legacy of Sheila Oliver, our late Lieutenant Governor. It was an absolutely fabulous event, very, very well put together to honor her legacy. And it was just well attended with over 1,000 friends and family and loved ones to salute our late Lieutenant Governor. We don't have a historic preservation meeting coming up. So that will complete my remark. Oh, for Latin Night, for those, I just also want to join my colleagues in just letting the Hispanic Foundation and all those involved and how superb Latin Night was. It was quite a privilege and honor to be a supporter of Latin Night. It was a marvelous time. And we know that that event will just continue to grow. So thank you to all those involved. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. The only update I have is regarding the joint meeting, which met last week, Thursday. Also last week, we received our surplus payment back, or at least we received notification of it. For those that don't know, every year, each municipality pays into the joint meeting. It's how we perform our sewer services in town. And at the end of the budget cycle, once all the items have been reconciled, any overpayments are returned back to the member municipalities. So that was calculated and sent out to the member municipalities last week. Our surplus return payment was a little less this year than it might otherwise be. But the fact that we got one back at all, I think, is a win. And that's really the only update I have on that. I do want to echo the sentiments of my colleagues and congratulate both the Hispanic Heritage Foundation, West Orange Hispanic Heritage Foundation, and our Downtown Alliance on a successful Latin night and a successful, what was it called? What was Saturday night called?
The Saturday, well, we had family pajama party.
No, not that.
one.
Thursday night
Oh, Sister Act. Oh, the Hot Pack.
at the high school.
Oh,
Arts
Latin,
Pack. Arts Pack?
No.
yeah, Latin night, yeah.
It was Latin night. Okay,
Latin.
well, Thursday night was Downtown Thursdays, and then we followed it up with Saturday night at
Yeah.
the high school. I was on vacation last week, so forgive me, I'm forgetting these dates. Both nights were outstanding. I'm very pleased to see the Hispanic community in West Orange finally get some recognition. They are a vibrant and significant portion of the community, so very happy to see these types of events. They were so well received. Many people commented to me that they wanted them to be annual events, particularly the one Saturday night at the school. at the high school. I do echo that as well, since that was my first and only salsa lesson, but I do feel like I am ready, because the instructor was fantastic. So yeah, I do congratulate them, and I'm certainly glad to see that part of our community receive some recognition outside of the normal days that are allocated on the calendar. With regard to your request, Councilwoman Castellino, for an acknowledgement of Mr. Gross at his retirement, I'm happy to do that. And I think we should do that, but I think we should do it for everybody that's retiring. Like, when folks finally decide to make that life change, and they've given, certainly, you know, in this case, it's not an entire life, but 12 years is not insignificant. But we've had others that have retired after 20 or 30 or more years. I think they deserve some acknowledgement too. So let's figure out how we can do that. You know, celebrate some more of the folks that have made this town
And
what it is.
just so you know, it's Council President, just been a tradition on the council. He had sat up on this dais for many years now. That's why I made the request, like we did when Mr. Sears had retired as well. So,
No,
and other former council people.
I get it.
And I would love to do a monthly or whatever we need to do to
Yeah,
recognize
quarterly,
their staff.
semi-annual, we can figure it out.
Even in a resolution, we could even, yeah.
Yeah, you know, twice a year, you know, acknowledge those folks that have called it a career.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, no other comments on liaisons announcements? It's 7:02, that's perfect timing. We're going to move into our public meeting.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Madam Clerk.
This is to inform the general public, excuse me, that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The annual notice was emailed to the Star Ledger and filed in the Township Clerk's office on November 21st, 2023, and published in the West Orange Chronicle on November 30th, 2023. Councilwoman Castellino,
Present.
Councilwoman Geber Michael,
Present.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
Present.
Councilwoman Williams,
Present.
Council President Rutherford.
Here.
Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The council is now in their public meeting.
Madam Clerk. All right, so it's in your hands, right? Well, no public comment, sorry. So before we get into public comment, I do want to make a statement about the quorum and also about the agenda tonight. Mr. Fagan, I am certainly going to start with you, followed by Mr. Puglisi. But before we do, I just wanted to remind everyone, including my colleagues, those representatives of the administration, of what we've been able to do this year with regard to the tone and tenor of our meetings. I think you'll agree that they have substantially improved. And I think it's important that we lean into that and do the work required to continue that progress. So to that end, we know that there are certainly significant political dynamics that are being navigated. And then there are some legal ones. We're not going to resolve those. In the meantime, we still have to find a way to work together. So I'm going to have a little more to say about this in a non-public setting. But for the purposes right now, while we are in here, let's just be reminded of a couple of things. Number one, this is now a permanent record, and people will be able to watch this going permanently into the future. So what we say tonight may not actually end up being accurate down the road if we don't have substantial basis to say something, especially if it is accusatory or defamatory. Even though we may be right in saying it, let's figure out a way to say it without the vitriol, without the intensity of the emotion of the moment. And I will use myself as the example. And I've had this conversation with multiple people that are in the room now and some that aren't in the room. There are some times where I feel like folks have gone too far and have said and done some things they shouldn't. And in some moments, I feel like they should be called out right then and there. And I'm right because they're wrong. And in spite of that, though, sometimes it is more destructive to go down that road. So in every moment that we can, if we have two ways to say it, choose the kinder way. If there is an accusation, if there is an intense back and forth, I want each of us as leaders in this community to do what we can to step back, take a breath, and model a better way of conflict resolution to the best of our ability. Now, obviously, I'm saying this for a reason, and many of you know, maybe not all of you know. But I do think it's important that we not undo some of the work that's already been done and further deteriorate these relationships, even in the midst of difficulty. So the stuff that we don't agree on, we don't agree. If it's the five of us, let's just take the vote. If it's between the administration and the council, we agree to disagree without the follow-on additional stuff that we've seen almost everywhere in politics. So it's not like this is just a new thing in West Orange. And this isn't to accuse anyone or to defend anyone, which is why I'm not using any names other than my own. But we do see where politics are, period. And before we get back to that really toxic place, let's take a breath and avoid it if at all possible. We have no idea how what we do here will affect or inspire someone outside of here. And we certainly don't want that on our conscience either. So just wanted to remind us about decorum amongst ourselves, between the administration and ourselves, as well as with the public. And we'll have a little further conversation on that later on tonight. So now, Mr. Fagan, you think you can keep from cursing?
Thank you, Council President. And I just would like to add that having had the opportunity of living in a Spanish-speaking country, one salsa lesson is all you need. So I think
There you go.
I think you're well suited for the future.
Thank you, sir.
Tonight, I'd like to start with OZPAC. Coming up at OZPAC on July 25th is the Adams family. Once again, it's a $10 admission. Please bring your own chair and blanket. If you haven't been there, this might be a good weekend to start. As Councilwoman Castellino had mentioned, this Thursday, July 25th, downtown Thursdays continue at St. Mark's Square. And it looks like there's going to be more music, more dancing. There's always a lot of fun and game activities for kids. And the most important thing is it's all free. It starts at 5 o'clock. Some good news for West Orange. West Orange has received the largest grant in Essex County in the New Jersey Safe Routes to School. So what is that amount? So West Orange has received almost $1 million, $966,000. And that represents, that was announced on July 10th by the Murphy administration. Over $21 million was awarded for 23 grants. And in West Orange, this will mean that sidewalks, high visibility crosswalks, ADA curb ramps, LED stop signs, and flashing beacons will be installed along Gregory Avenue and Lowell Avenue right here in West Orange. The good news. Thank you. I wish I could take credit for that, and I can't. The good news continues. West Orange will also receive almost another $1 million allotment from a local transportation projects fund, and this will improve improvements along South Valley Road, Union Street, Nassau Street, Wheatland Avenue. I'd like to mention that my father was born on Nassau Street in 1921. And speaking of Wheatland Avenue, this is probably the first improvement on Wheatland Avenue. In fact, this is the creation of Wheatland Avenue in 1888 with the construction of the cable railroad in West Orange. An update on police department. Last we spoke, we had the figures through May. We now have them here for June. They don't change all that much. They're pretty consistent. And I'd also like to point out that a police executive research forum reports that in a recent survey that 51% of people say they have either a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in the police. And this is basically due to retraining of police departments across the country since the George Floyd homicide. Not to leave out the fire department, here's official record fire incident log from 1904 to 1906. Okay, why do I have that here? Across the top, there's date, location, owner, building, and damage. And I understand that this is quite blurry and you can't see it, but here from June, July, August 1905, which really was a period from May 27th to September 13th, 1905, there were no fires or alarms in West Orange, which I think is a feat yet to be matched. But to bring that more up to date for June, the West Orange Fire Department now uses the NFIRS code. And these are 187 codes or categories that are standard throughout fire departments in the United States. And here I have some random categories. And you can see that in the month of June, there was 657 calls across all 187 categories. And EMS calls, which topped out at 409, is probably the most call. And that's a code at 321. And just to give you a quick random sampling of some codes, if there was an ice rescue, it would be a 362. If it was a surf rescue, it would be a 364. Now, I don't anticipate that being a case in West Orange here. However, if the Chicago Bears team bus broke down and needed assistance from the West Orange Fire Department, that would be a 5531, and that's an assist the NFL. That's an actual category in this coding system. Mayor McCartney's open office hours coming up August 1st, right here in Mayor's office, 66 Main Street. No appointment is ever necessary. We have this listed on the website. There's paving notification that for gas system upgrade project. This list here is on the website, and you can check. This is ongoing work, and it's going on through the beginning of August. So this is available at westorange.org. You can check your street and see what the tentative date is. We also have ongoing work with PSG E&G doing tree trimming. There's ongoing operations in West Orange. I get daily reports. Sometimes they're a side street and it's impractical to really list it. This morning I posted that Northfield Avenue, Prospect Avenue, and Main Street was being done. So I try to keep up with the updates in the morning when they come through. I'd like to talk briefly about Brendan Byrne, our 47th governor. He was born in 1924, so this is the 100th anniversary of his birth. He grew up on Prospect Place. He went to Washington Street School. He went to St. John's School. He also went to the Gaston Street School. In a 2013 interview, he explained to me how dangerous trolley traffic was on Main Street. And as a youngster, he almost was hit by a trolley. He graduated West Orange High School in 1942, and certainly following high school, he joined the Army, and he served aboard a B-17 Flying Fortress and flew 32 missions over Germany from bases in Italy. And he was a navigator, and on the left is a navigator seat, and he also doubled as a waist gunner, 50 caliber machine gun that you see there on the right. The B-17 Flying Fortresses were equipped with at least 7 guns. And they had 4 engines, and Brendan Byrne told me the story. One time he had to find a way back over the Adrian Sea, back to base in Italy. Now, he was part of the 414th Bomb Squadron of the 15th Air Force, and he achieved the rank of second lieutenant. and also received the Distinguished Flying Cross. And part of World War II, our B-17s flew missions into Germany. But starting in 1944, they were able to fly deeper into the heart of Germany because of air fighter escort. Now, the 332nd Air Group Fighter Escort might not seem familiar to you, but they were part of they were 51 Mustangs, and they were known as the Red-Tailed Devils. We know them as the Tuskegee Airmen. So they flew a fighter escort for missions that our Governor Byrne was on. Now, I bring this up because we have a celebration coming up. This is a picture of Brendan Byrne when he was about 10 years old. And in that 2013 interview, he told me that in this room in 1940, May 1940, he met Spencer Tracy and Governor Charles Edison. No one, of course, would know at that time that Byrne would come on to be a governor. It's probably the only time in history that the two governors met. And he also told me that the proudest moment of his life was when he elected governor. And his father, Francis J. Byrne, now you might recognize that name. That's the namesake of the Francis J. Byrne Golf Course. Seen him become elected governor, but did not live to see him be reelected. And in that, when we concluded that 2013 interview, Brendan Byrne invited me out to lunch at Jimmy Johnson's Steakhouse. And I said, Governor, in a recorded interview, I asked him, what's your fondest memory of West Orange? And he said, he just kind of leaned back and smiled and laughed and said, I want to be remembered as a hometown boy. And you will have that opportunity to remember our Governor Byrne. On August 15th, there will be a marker dedication, part of Downtown Thursdays. It's August 15th at the Thomas Edison National Historical Park, 211 Main Street, West Orange. Of course, you know where that is. And you can RSVP to the mayor's office and to reserve your spot. Unfortunately, I will not be able to be there only because there's a zoning board meeting that night. We have West Orange Planning Board coming up. We have two meetings next week, the July 30th and July 31st here in council chambers. The Zoom links are posted at westorange.org. Please note that the Zoom links for both meetings are different and they are posted on our website. Maybe Mr. Puglisi would talk a little bit more about this, but Rutgers Center for Health, Identity, Behavior, and Prevention Studies, in partnership with Essex County, is seeking LGBTQ plus adults in Essex County to participate in a survey. This information is on our website. We also have a Family Fun Day coming up on August 30th, sponsored by Zufel Health. They're right here on Mount Pleasant Avenue across from Town Hall. And finally, I'd like to conclude my report. I probably already went over time, but we have two new display cases in Town Hall here. You may have noticed. And as part of Revolutionary New Jersey, I have the Williams family clock, which is 260 years old and dates back to the Revolutionary War. The Williams family is the family that Torrey Corner is named for. It's on display right across the hall. I invite the public to come on down to Town Hall and see these artifacts on display. And certainly if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer. Once again, you can contact the council at westorange.org in a single email. Thank you, Council President. I successfully was able to get through the presentation without even thinking about using an ill-fated word.
Look at you. Thank you, sir. Mr. Puglisi.
Hi, Anthony Puglisi, representing County Executive Joe DiVincenzo. Joe pretty much covered the LGBTQ health assessment that we're asking people to participate in. Basically what that is helping us do is helping that community overcome any obstacles or deficiencies in healthcare that they have access to. It would help our health department create programs to help that community. So the participation from the public is very important because we want to learn from everyone else's experiences. And if they have any ideas, that's their opportunity to share them as well. That survey is open until the end of this year. So they have until December, but we don't want people to wait until then. The earlier they can participate, the better. Just a couple of upcoming events. Of course, our summer concert series is ongoing. We do come to West Orange on Friday, August 16th at Eagle Rock Reservation. And the band that's going to be playing that night is Memories Music. So that's more of an older music crowd. And then the next day on August 17th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at our one-stop center in East Orange is our back-to-school event. Each year that event gets bigger and bigger. We have free backpacks for children. There's some refreshments, and then there's also displays from not only county agencies, but also agencies that we partner with that would help students and families overcome obstacles in their lives. So we do invite everyone out to that event. Once again, that's August 17th. Both of these are on the Essex County website, which is essexcountynj.org. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We will now have a comment from those that are in the gallery only. As you know, we no longer accept public comment from Zoom participants. If you are present here tonight, you're welcome to join us at the microphone. You'll have 5 minutes to address the council. You do not have to wait for any particular order, but you do need to give us your name and street address for the record. Public comment is now open. We invite you to the microphone.
Council President, council members, I'm Paul Trachtenberg. I live at 96 Sullivan Drive in West Orange. My comments relate to agenda item 22624, which is a resolution prescribing fees relating to the tree ordinance that you adopted unanimously last month on June 10. I specifically want to address the fee schedule before you this evening and its relationship to the development application at the planning board, which is the subject of the July 30 and 31 hearings. If that application is approved, the developer plans to remove many thousands of mature trees and to replace virtually none of them. In fact, pursuant to the ordinance you adopted in October 2020 regarding that site, the developer would get a credit for 6,360 trees by virtue of erecting some deer fencing on the property. Based on the schedule before you, that credit could be worth as much as $6,966,000, otherwise payable to the township, but in fact, in this case, retained by the developer because of the ordinance provision. But I'm here to provide you with some good news. We Care, the organization I represent, which is the main objector to that application, does not believe that that October 2020 ordinance ever went into effect because the township failed to file it with the Essex County Planning Board as is legally required. We've taken the position, and that resulted in the cancellation by the board of 2 meetings scheduled for July 16 and 17. We pursued the cancellation of the July 30 and 31 meetings, but apparently the planning board is persisting in holding them. I just want to say a word because I know the planning board is a legally separate entity and we're making our arguments there and not here, but it does intersect with something that might happen in connection with the council. The township finally filed this October 2020 ordinance with the planning board on July 3rd of this year, a couple of weeks ago. That was the day after we sent them a letter to planning board attorney suggesting the defect, the failure to file. The consequence, we believe, under state law is that the prior ordinance relating to that site, the West Essex Highlands Inc. site, the ordinance is 1934-04, standing for 2004 when it was adopted, is still in effect, we think, and it explicitly bars multifamily housing from that site, which of course is precisely what the developer is proposing to erect there. So I think there's going to be a significant legal and policy confrontation at the planning board. There are many other problems with the 2020 ordinance and with the development application, which we have and will raise with the planning board. I'm not intending to raise them here. We're determined to prevent the hearings from happening to the extent we can and from having the application approved. We did that previously in 2006, contrary to what most predictions were. It was defeated by the planning board 5-2. In my view, this is a far worse application than the one that was defeated then. That was for 136 single-family homes. This is for 496 rental apartments. I want to raise that issue with you now, however, because if we are successful with the planning board, it's likely that this matter may be back before you. And we hope that this time around, you will act in a way which serves the interests of your constituents rather than those of a Short Hills developer. So that's my say right now on this subject. We have more to say at the planning board.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My name is Joseph Penrolo. I live on Holton Lane in Essex Fells in the 200-foot notice area of the proposed development that Professor Trachtenberg just referred to. He and I are working together with a number of others in We Care to oppose not just the project, but the reasoning behind the project and the consequence of the project. We spoke before this council. I'm sorry, Mr. President, council members, good evening. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Spoke before you a month ago when the amendment to the tree ordinance was adopted on June 10th was proposed, and I think rightfully didn't get a second reading and should go into effect. Paul discussed a few things about procedurally what has just gone on, and I don't want to get too far ahead of anybody here, but I would like the council to anticipate the possibility that it is going to need to be in position to review for consistency an ordinance which was not effective on the date the Site Plan Review Advisory Board approved an application of an ordinance under which it couldn't be proposed, couldn't be done. So we presented that to the planning board. We got a response today. We'll probably respond before the first planning board hearing. The bottom line is whether we prevail to interrupt or we end up on appeal, we're all going to spend a lot of money discussing something which procedurally is out of order, is a matter of law, and is a matter of fact. And the facts that are in the record, and they're not our facts, they're facts that actually come from the Essex County Planning Board and the town of West Orange. So the rest is law. I'm not sure why there should be a debate. I'm not sure why it should be a prolonged, let's all go through the provisions of the rules of the planning board to do something that the planning board shouldn't be considering in the first place. That said, at this time, there are a number of documents that have been loaded, presented. We're scrambling to keep up. One of the things that's very clear is there are a lot of things that are not known and will not be known should the planning board get to proceed and then have to go through this all on appeal anyway. Among them, traffic impact study was just dropped. It describes opening up Oval Road, widening it, making it a boulevard, cutting a big hole across it directly to put a four-way traffic signal and left turn lanes, right turn lanes on Eagle Rock, where there's no public transit today. And the signal will end up coming before the Essex County Planning Board if and when the planning board here in West Orange approves. DEP permits have been applied for recently. Notice letters came out to people within the 200-foot notice area a week ago. New permit things have been filed. We're going to isolate the deficiencies and bring them up to both the planning board and the DEP. But I can assure you that before the preliminary site plan is approved, if it were to be at the planning board, the settlement agreement provides for both preliminary and final approval at the planning board. And what that means is preliminary can be granted, final subject to, and that's subject to our other agencies, which will include the DEP. And in the recent drawings that were submitted, buildings have been adjusted, where things are going to have to be moved, where the roads are actually going to be allowed to go due to riparian zones. freshwater wetlands, other crossings. That won't be known until, if you prove preliminarily, final. Final is gonna be up to, not gonna be an objective, we'll be objecting to it, but there won't be a formal process here. Sanitary sewers, stormwater, public water, interconnection. Where you blast the holes in the mountain after you take down the trees to bring those interconnections. Mr. President, you mentioned the joint meeting, Union Essex, to carry sewage down to Wilson Avenue North, got a credit back. I don't know where the interconnection goes, nobody does. And I'll add one more point, because there are way too many, but the notion of widening Oval Road, which is going to bring an internal traffic problem within the condominium association, the Pleasantdale Chateau, the Grand, to transit almost 1,100 cars through them to get to the top of the mountain. And then bring them back down through roads that can't be widened. The circulation plan is bereft of any reasoning or logic. I see a sidewalk resolution there. I don't know where else it applies. I can't see good enough to read it. But there's not going to be sidewalks inside the condos because there's no place to put them. The retaining walls, there's street parking, there's garbage trucks, there's heavy traffic that goes through it now, and it circles back as it goes to the bottom of the hill. Where all that's going to go, I don't know. The wetlands on the Pleasantdale Chateau side of Oval Road are not delineated. The notion that you could just widen a road and submit DEP permits without knowing where's the water on the other side of that road, you have to widen.
Your time is up.
Thank you. I will end it there. I'm sure I'll be back. Thank you. Much appreciated.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Good evening, Michaela Bennett, Old Indian Road. Last time I was here before you, I raised concerns about the request for bids for solid waste and recycling collection. So I'm speaking to you right now about item number 228, 229, 230, 231, and 232. I think that's all of them. And what I raised then was the notion that when you put out a bid or a request for proposals on a bid, and you tailor the bid so specifically, it's called rigged specifications. When you tailor a bid so tightly so that only one vendor can qualify, it's a request for proposals. It should be rewritten, should be redrafted. So I would encourage you to make sure that that's done so that there are multiple vendors who can bid on the contract, so that you have before you confidence that an 18 million, well, let's start at the low end, a 15 million to $18 million contract is actually the cost of the service that you're asking to be provided. In response to last week, in response to my suggestion that the RFP should be rewritten, Chief Abbott said it's illegal. It's illegal to do that. Mr. Gengaro is an attorney. I'm an attorney. There are other attorneys in the room. I would caution anyone who's not an attorney to provide legal advice to a body, government body. That's number one. But in response to that, I was surprised to see at the special meeting that the chief attacked Councilwoman Scarpa. Raising your voice and saying to a public official, I am not your secretary, is inappropriate. But doing so as the business administrator and police chief of our town is conduct unbecoming. He doubled down. I don't know if all of you are privileged to the blind copy of the email that he sent, where he attacks me, Councilwoman Scarpa, and Councilwoman Geber Michael. But he misrepresents, He gaslights and then he threatens in that email. It's inappropriate, it's uncivil, and he violates his own codes of conduct. I would ask you to make sure that he is no longer the interim business administrator. He really has no business in a leadership role in this town if he can't conduct himself in accord with what's required of every officer and every employee of this town. And then lastly, what I'd like to raise is President Rutherford. For the past few meetings that I've attended, I've withheld certain comments that weren't related to agenda items because the agenda leaves an item called public comment for non-agenda items. And then at the end of the meetings, there's not time there. That's not announced. And I don't know how to notify the council when there's an intention for public comment that's not an agenda item. So I would just ask that if that's that either gets removed or it gets announced at future meetings. Thank you.
Craig Adams, 9 Westover. I kind of wish I had got up one person sooner because I don't want this to be related to anything that was just said because I'm not fully versed on the parameters of what was just said. But my heart's been heavy all week, and myself, my family, and others that I'm connected to have been in prayer for the young woman from Springfield who lost her life in her home. And it's another tragedy in the face of many tragedies that have happened throughout our nation that is just grievous to even think about, even consider. And I can't imagine what life is like for those parents. But I really came down, and I was just speaking to the officer outside. And so, again, I just am not wanting to blend what I'm saying with anything that was said before, but I really came down to thank our town leadership, to thank our chief of police and our police department, because I've been here for 27 years and we've never had to face any of those tragic stories. And we were 15 minutes away from a city that has tragedy multiple times a day, every day. And even some of the cities surrounding us here in New Jersey have tragedies several times a day, every day. And, you know, at this point, I just feel like when there are those bad actors that need to be dealt with, and we jump to the fore of dealing with those bad actors that need to be dealt with, there's time when we need to stop and just thank those folk who are looking and trying and working to try and do it right. Based upon the stories and the information, that woman was struggling with some degree of mental health. Although I have to say, I did not see in the video any indication that whatever struggle she had with mental health was putting anybody in danger. But in our town, our police department has gone and they started this work with mental health professionals to have mental health professionals go out with them and to partner with them and partner with community organizations and partner with the clergy in town to make sure that when they're encountering people in our community, they're trying to do it from the most human way possible. Our police department has this angel network where there are people in town who have been trained and called out to work with people who have addiction issues and can turn in drugs and paraphernalia and it be a safe place. You know, our police department, you know, during the George Floyd time when things were very, very contentious between the public and law enforcement, Our police department was out here with our young people from the high school, talking about their anger and the issues and the struggles that were going on. Our very own police chief was standing on the porch with them. I grew up in the 60s. My earliest public memories was my mother taking me on marches. I have photo and video of family members, my own physician who became a senator in Michigan, went into politics and left his office because he got brutalized at a protest. And so when I think about what it means for us to be able to live in West Orange, what it means to lead an armed force every day into the community and to do it as well as they've done, that's actually the reason I came down, is I just wanted to thank our leadership. I wanted to thank our police chief. I wanted to thank our police department and every man and woman that serves in the police department for caring enough about the residents to be mindful of how they engage us, even in moments when their own lives are at stake. And so that's really all I wanted to say, is just thank you to them.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment in chambers? Seeing none, public comment is now closed. Going to begin public comment in reverse order. We'll start with Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, Council President. Just wanted to thank all of our commenters this evening. Thank you all for coming and attending the meetings in person. We do realize that that is sometimes an exorbitant task after a long day's work, families, children, other responsibilities. So we do appreciate each of you who came down to speak in council chambers. As far as public comment is concerned about the West Essex Highlands, I really am not in a position to respond. Certainly, we have legal counsel for the municipality that is dealing with these issues in addition to the planning and zoning department. So I will have to yield to their expertise, but certainly some of the information that has been pointed out is duly noted. And in the event it comes before us for us to render any type of decision, I do appreciate you all's efforts. Certainly overdevelopment is not something that we're looking forward to in any part of West Orange. And I certainly have heard many of the residents who live in that area, not just West Orange, but beyond West Orange on the Essex and the Verona sides of the border. So we are very aware of the concerns, but again, it's a legal matter and we have to let it, unfortunately, do its process. So, Ms. Bennett, thank you for your comments. Mr. Adams, thank you for your comments. As far as loss of life, we were remiss. We did not take a moment of silence for the family in West Orange.
Yes.
That perished, the two small children as well as the grandmother. So, Council President, with your permission, I would just like to ask us to take a moment of silence for the direct and immediate loss that we have in our township.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So I'll just ask everyone to just briefly acknowledge their loss and pray for the family and their souls. Thank you. Thank you, Council President, for the opportunity to provide remarks. We have a complete and full agenda tonight in addition to an executive session. So hopefully we will be able to go into executive session early in the meeting before we get to our agenda. But thank you again, everyone, for coming out, and we appreciate your continued support of our municipality. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Scarpa.
Thank you. Paul Trachtenberg, thank you for all of your advocacy, both many years ago and today, to try to push for responsible development in our town. As we said, we're very limited to what we can say here. But Joseph Panulo too, thank you for all of the material that you've been sending us. Keep it coming. We want to be as abreast of the situation as we can. And the material that you've been giving us really has enlightened us. And what I'd like the administration to do is perhaps ask legal to talk to us in an executive session about how we can assist in any way that we can and what our limitations might be.
Sure.
But I think we all want to assist you in any way we possibly can. The traffic concerns have always been an issue too for everyone, and even the fire department had been concerned about those for many years. Doug Adams, thank you very much. I agree with you. Our police department goes above and beyond all the time, as does our fire. I've had experience with both, particularly the fire department. When I was a caregiver for my dad for 3 years after his stroke, they are always there, chief, professional, and I just can't say enough good things about them. Michaela, thank you for paying attention and helping everyone understand that the public is watching. And what I want to say to you and to all the public who have brought this to my attention, that there is a considerable amount of bullying, intimidation, and disrespect that goes on this dais. And I will not take part in it. For the public who has brought me their concerns, and there have been many, people at the pool, all over town, when it's been directed at me, I just want to share my thinking with them. Maya Angelou is my favorite poet laureate. And she says, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. The way we treat one another on this dais is an expression of who we are. And it's an expression of our character, our integrity, and I will let the public see for themselves and make their own judgments about what goes on here. And I will speak privately to anyone about these kinds of issues. But thank you for watching. And that's about it.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Geber.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to those of you here in council chambers with us, as well as watching on Zoom. I would like to start by thanking Professor Trachtenberg and Mr. Panula for your advocacy and everyone in We Care. Thank you for your commitment to putting West Orange residents first. I appreciate you. It is not easy to do what you do. And we're all in this together. I agree with you and your points. I support the work that you do and what others are doing. So thank you very much. Ms. Bennett, thank you as well, as always, for your advocacy and commitment to putting West Orange first. And Mr. Adams, I echo your remarks regarding our wonderful police department, as well as our fire department. We are blessed to have amazing public safety. Without public safety, there is no quality of life. And my family has witnessed, I grew up here, have witnessed the amazing men and women who have helped us and responded to our calls. And I always hear amazing things. So thank you. Now, in terms of what Ms. Bennett said, I'm going to read something. And Chief, this is directed to you. I was actually going to read your email onto the record that you sent a couple of days ago, that you blind copied, I don't know who else on, but I was shocked by your words, honestly.
As I was.
I did not expect that.
Not the benefit.
I was shocked by your words and your professional conduct.
Likewise.
It was difficult to read your emotionally charged email that mischaracterized material facts. And I have to address the several inaccuracies and the tone of your communication, which I found to be uncivil, inappropriate, and unprofessional. First and foremost, the insinuations and personal attacks against myself, my fellow council colleague, Councilman Scarpa, and a member of our community are unwarranted and unproductive. You're an employee of this township. Your primary responsibility is to serve our community with integrity and respect. Resorting to personal attacks undermines this goal and does not contribute to the constructive discourse we need to effectively govern. And regarding the specific points raised in your email, you completely misinterpreted what occurred in the last meeting with me. Yes, I was emotional at the insinuation that I did not care about the firefighters being at risk of cancer. You suggesting that I shouldn't be emotional is a problem. Also, when I made my commentary, I addressed Mr. Smeraldo directly, not you. So please, you can go back and watch the video to witness that. Worse, you referenced an incident that occurred last fall between myself and Councilwoman Williams, in which you were not present. We were present. It did not happen.
Not the back and forth.
It did not happen 2 weeks ago in the meeting. What you stated did not happen in that meeting. In fact, what I was emotional about was what I just mentioned about the firefighters. And then I mentioned that no one on this dais had lost more family members to cancer than I have. So, you know, you were mistaken about what occurred in the last meeting in your email. I was very confused as to why you referenced what privately occurred between us in that email, again, that you blind copied. I was just so confused with your email. It is the obligation of the council, legislative body, to be the checks and balance of the administration and the executive branch. And I will dutifully do my job. Your bullying and disrespect and attempts to belittle or dismiss the very important work that we do needs to stop. Like, this came left field. I was just really confused. You're the police chief and currently the interim business administrator of this township. And as such, you should be holding your conduct to the highest accountability. Personal remarks about your colleagues' emotional responses or capabilities are uncalled for and detract from the serious matters that we are addressing. Professional decorum should be maintained at all times, Chief. And moving forward, I urge the administration to engage in respectful, fact-based discussions, and you should be aiming to work collaboratively with us to focus, and the focus should be on the well-being and progress of our community and for the better benefit of our constituents. All work together. And I end my response, public comment, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. But Chief, I know you want to respond. I just want you to hold it for a moment. I'm going to allow Councilwoman Castellino, and I hope she does not have a comment on that particular issue, but I'm going to allow her to speak. I'm going to give a quick something before I call on you, if that's all right. Councilwoman?
Okay, so thanks for letting me follow. So listen, tensions run high here on this dais. We have a lot of hot topic issues. We have a lot of passionate from at night, and this year's been a really big year for that. And you know, I follow, I hear what everybody says, and I've always encouraged for all of us to meet outside this dais to try to communicate with each other so we can look through each other's lenses a little bit better. And unfortunately, that's not always, my advice isn't always taken. So I hope that can happen moving forward. But yeah, I'm gonna let the chief respond, and because there are things said where I could see how administration gets very frustrated with us, but yet I do understand my colleagues at times too. Got to work with the frustration, and this job's tough. We got to have thick skin here. With that being said, I appreciate the speakers for coming down and to to share their opinions. West Essex Highlands, I'm the only sitting council person that had to go through all of the, I wasn't on the negotiating team at the time, but it was stressful, really, really stressful. So I appreciate all of the action that We Care has taken, and glad to see the group grow. And I wish folks were there a few years back. Very informative. And but again, I'm going to keep my comments limited because we did have that settlement agreement. And all I could share is, you know, it's frustrating. It's hard because we're trying to make great development happen within the township. And sometimes when it's forced, it's extra stressful. And the systems get stressed as well, as we talk, you know, with the sewer systems and traffic and all of that. And to have smart planning and smart development is what's needed here in the township. So again, I just want to reiterate, thank you very much. And I'm glad to see Mr. Trachtenberg, you're back. I know you were concerned being out of town and missing the meetings, and I'm glad you're able to be here for them. It'll be very enlightening. With that, Mr. Adams, echo your comments for the police department. Last week, when I heard about the fatal fire that besieged the Jury family in the township, it was just heartbreaking. And for our firefighters and our police officer who first arrived on the scene, it's my heart goes out to them as well, to have to get a call and to walk into that situation is just so dreadful for them. And appreciate all the training, because it's important in our training. They would not have been able to handle that situation in the way that they did without their training and the supports that they need to overcome a tragedy like that. And kudos to all. And for this family, there is a GoFundMe page on the public school website. And I hope folks can go to it. And there's not much we could do for this family with the loss they face, but they are in need. And if folks can go to that website and donate, it would help them. But our thoughts and prayers just go with them. It's horrible. Mr. Puglisi, thank you always for all the great things the county does for us. And Mr. Fagan, thanks for bringing up the grants. So important for the grants for us to be able to pave our township, pave our roadways in the township. And also the Safe Routes to School. I just want to mention how hard that grant is to get. For many, many years, the schools work with the town to apply for that grant, and just so exciting, not only that we were awarded, but the amount of money we were awarded and all the work that the township employees and the school employees had to put in to get that grant. I gotta thank them, because this is wonderful for the Gregory neighborhood. We're trying to get sidewalks for over 10 years. I think we get to 20. It's been insane how long to get that grant. So great job on everyone's part. And thank you all for coming down tonight, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mr. Puglisi, Mr. Fagan, as always, thank you for your information. Look forward to seeing you again at some of the events around town. Mr. Trachtenberg, I do appreciate your presence as well as your advocacy and voice on these issues. I'm on the planning board, so I'm going to limit my commentary regarding that. I will ask our township attorney if he can weigh in on what, if anything, the township council can do with regard to this challenge of a planning board meeting. Yeah, if there is something that we can do, let us know. I don't believe there is. I believe they are autonomous in that regard, but happy to hear your opinion.
when you say challenge to the planning board meeting, can you just clarify what you mean? So when I go back to,
So what Mr. Panulo and Mr. Trachtenberg were referencing were the emails that were sent. I think Mr. Potter is the attorney for We Cares, and there were some others back and forth prior to that one too, that spoke to the ordinance that the SPRAB approval was based on for this particular development. And what those emails, assuming they're legitimate, and the one that I read today actually had time-stamped documents from the county to show us when these documents were filed. So their argument is that the ordinance that passed in 2020 that the SPRAB was based on never got filed properly. The county has pretty much confirmed that with the documents they've prepared, they've sent to us. And they've said that since your preliminary site plan is based on a non-existent or non-applicable ordinance, you should have to go back to square one. They shouldn't be able to move forward in the application process if the initial SPRAB approval was based on an ordinance that was not in effect at that time. And they talked about submission, time of submission.
from the emails sent by Mr. Potter, I'll bring it up to Mr. Trank and planning board council and.
If you could do that the night before the end of the meeting, see if we can get a response from him, because if there is something
Well, it
we
might
can
be
do.
something better discussed in the executive session as well.
Okay, Well-
Just due to all because it was a court approved settlement.
Yeah.
So just due to any potential issues regarding that, it just might be better discussed in the executive session, which I can talk to Richard, see if we can get a time for maybe next meeting sooner. I don't know.
well, if you can give us any advice or guidance before we get into executive tonight, that'd be great, and if not, then as soon as possible, because this meeting is still scheduled for the 30th, the first of two meetings, still scheduled for the 30th. And, you know, I just would like to be clear on what, if anything, we can do since it has been raised as an issue to the town council.
Understood. I will see if I can't get a hold of it. If it's possible, maybe we can discuss with regard to the other stuff. Let me call.
Thank you. I do appreciate that, and that addressed both of your comments, Mr. Panudo and Mr. Trachtenberg. Ms. Bennett, what I failed to do tonight, but what I have done in every other council meeting, is announce that public comment is open for agenda and non-agenda items at the very beginning. You don't have to wait till the end for non-agenda items. We'll look to have that removed. And if we need to, because of hot button issues, separate, which is the reason why we separated, we need to do it again, and we'll just do it again down the road. Pastor Adams, I share your sentiments about the West Orange Police Department, as my colleagues have to a person echoed. And I'm grateful. If you look at the chart that was provided earlier, I think it might have been before you got here, or maybe not, I don't know, but there was a chart provided earlier, and I was going to comment about it anyway. I love when I can just ask for stuff and it just gets done. And that was one of them. So thank you very much, Chief, for just incorporating that going forward. I find it interesting, the use of force. When I look at our use of force reports on an annual basis, I review the emails that are sent with regard to the mental health responses that we have. I share all of the praise for our police department. I would not have brought it up tonight. It's just a little too soon. And I also think that the time to praise our police, our firefighters, or those folks that risk their lives for us is before the crisis. And this isn't to criticize you. This is just a philosophical approach to it, so that when you are in a crisis, especially if it's contentious, if there are feelings that are hurt on both sides of an issue, if there are concerns on both sides of an issue, you don't have to address it in that way, in that moment, which may not be helpful. Now, this isn't something that happened in New Jersey. I was a little confused at first, but it's not something that happened in New Jersey, so we don't have to worry about folks in this community being on necessarily both sides of it. But the killing of unarmed Black people, which is what it was an unarmed Black woman, that is triggering for the Black community, no matter where they live. And so because of that, I wouldn't have brought it up tonight, and that would be my only criticism. So, but now that you brought it up, I had to speak about it because I certainly want to make sure our police, our first responders, all of our town hall employees, but certainly those that risk their lives for us, know how grateful we are for not just the job they do, but how they do that job. I found out today, regrettably, about the fire that happened last week. For those that don't know, I was on vacation last week. And I distanced myself from all of these phone calls. So some of you may have tried to tell me. I dealt with township work on Wednesday and Thursday, and that was it. And as little as possible, last week. So I didn't find out about it until this afternoon when I left town hall. Had a phone call, and it was my mother actually, and asked me if I knew the residents that had died. I didn't even know they had died. So my heart goes out to them. I've already prayed for them. We'll continue to pray for them. I do not know what we can do as a township, but for those that are connected to the family, for the family in particular, if there's anything that I can do or we can do to be helpful in this difficult period of time, which we know does not end after the funeral, just let us know. We're happy to help in whatever way we can. All right. And then just wanted to remind folks, the CFO interview last week that I was not able to attend, I attempted to attend. Spoke with our municipal clerk. I could not get on via Zoom, and I could have called in from my phone, but my laptop was down, so I didn't have, and I was traveling, so I didn't have the hard copies. I didn't have any digital copies. It would have been pointless for me to participate. So after about 10 or 15 minutes, and I do apologize, but that is why she was out. I don't know what else you were out for, but I know you were on the phone with me. I do appreciate you sacrificing the time, but that's why I was not in the meeting last week. And Councilwoman was on vacation as well. So she could not, she had already told us that she wasn't going to be there. I had agreed to the meeting and intended to be there, just couldn't. But since then, we have interviewed the two candidates and am happy to have further discussion about it tonight in our executive session. All right, I think that is, oh no, Mr. Abbott, I know you want a response, and this is what I wanted to say. All of us are human. Each one of us brings a sum total of our life experience to every single one of these interactions we have. What I have been able to communicate with my colleagues as well as the administration is my perception of our role as leaders in this town, and how we can and should conduct ourselves in moments like this. I had a long and healthy conversation with Mr. Smeraldo today. I had a somewhat less long but healthy conversation with Mr. Abbott as well. I understand how intense these moments can be. Having said that, what I think is best for us, I know some things have to be corrected because there's a permanent record. What I think is best for us, to the extent we can handle these things outside of council chambers, we should. And if someone addresses us in a way that's disrespectful and it's brought up, whether we feel it was warranted or not, as leaders, we have to fall back. And I know it's not always easy. You know, I get it. I am very much aware how some people can say and do some really horrible things, and responses may the appropriate response may have been earned by that individual, no matter who they are, whether it's in writing. As I read the emails too, I know they're charged and, you know, I know the source of your complaint. I understand the source of yours. I don't know yours as well. I understand the source of yours, and Mr. Smeraldo, who was able to escape it tonight until this moment. But the point I'm making is, regardless of who is right and who is wrong, and it's been a tough lesson for me to apply to myself because I am a stickler about who's right and wrong. And if you're wrong and I then say something to you about it, I'm right because you were wrong. But some of the stuff that we do has to be outside the public eye so that we can, one, continue to strengthen the public trust. Two, mitigate some of the risk that comes from these kind of moments. And three, hopefully have a better working relationship. So having said all of that, and I know I'm not teaching you anything, you've been doing this longer than me, but after saying all of that, I do know that you want to respond. I would encourage you to do so with a little restraint.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So, for starters, I don't think there's anybody in this community that knows me better than the clergy, and I would like to embrace what Pastor Adams said and think of that as how I am generally thought of in this community, not as others may have you believe. As a matter of fact, this is a fact, not an opinion, there's no tone or inflection in an email. The reader puts their own tone and inflection into it. So you read it angry, you read it angry. You read it as a joke, you read it right across the board, you read it right across the board. Nobody should assume to know what my intent was when I wrote it, my frame of mind, I should say, not my intent. You couldn't have said things better about everybody needs to do better, and we can all do better, and we should all strive to do better. I would like to forgive Councilwoman Scarpa and Councilwoman Gavin Michael myself as they did me. Start with a clean slate.
Appreciate that.
My pleasure.
All right, I am glad we hit the reset button. Now, public comment is closed. We're done with
Yes.
public comment. I'm gonna ask my colleagues to indulge one more change to the agenda tonight. I wanted to kind of get through this. If we start going through these resolutions, we're gonna be past the 8:30 mark. We did invite the attorneys that are here for executive session. We advised them to be prepared around 8:30. If they are prepared, if then I will move that we go into executive session and look for a proper second.
Second.
Thank you. Are they ready? Okay.
Mr. Beckham's here. He was on first on the agenda. He's ready to go, and I believe all the other attorneys are here for all the other parties.
Thank you. Properly moved and seconded.
Councilwoman Castellino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Council President.
Yes, sir.
So just in regard to the previous comments about settlement and the planning board meeting coming up, to the extent that there are any questions or argument from Mr. Potter, who is the attorney for the group that's challenging, I'm guessing. He should reach out directly to Mr. Trank. He'll address the questions. If you have any questions specifically about it, send them to me or send them to him. And then I will get them over to Mr. Trank, get your response prior to this July 30th or 30th and 31st.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So just so we're still on the record, just so that you guys know, you don't have to, I will take the email that Mr. Potter sent to us. I will forward
He
it
forwarded it to me. I'll print it out for him, leave it on his chair.
with a couple of questions and I'll make sure you're CC'd on it. And that's advice from our legal counsel, so I won't worry about my standing on the planning board.
You'll send it over to us and then we'll drop it off to them.
Perfect. All right, so West Orange, we are going to take a not so brief recess. We do have executive session and quite a few issues to cover. So we will be back in time. Yes, but it will not be less than probably 90 minutes or more. So just want to prepare you for that. Thank you, West Orange.
Hi, this is Joseph Hagan, Public Information Officer. It is now 12:38. As you can see in the Zoom audience, the Township Council has returned to the dais, And at this time, I'd like to turn the floor over to Council President Bill Rutherford. Council President?
Thank you, Mr. Fagan. Thank you, West Orange, for your patience. Before we go any further, I offer a motion to end our executive session and resume our regular meeting.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried.
All right, so we're back in our regular meeting now. We had several issues, as you can tell, we spent quite a few hours discussing several matters, all of which were, properly advertised. And we have made some progress. In the interest of time, we are going to get through the remaining portion of our agenda, and some items will be left, are going to be pulled and will be addressed at our next meeting. We will be announcing in just a moment our decision on the garbage contract, as well as our new CFO. But in order to do that, we have to get through the rest of this agenda. So, Madam Clerk, approval of minutes?
Okay, so
Consent.
well, we don't have any minutes on the agenda tonight, but
Just pick up there, that's what I meant.
yeah, I'm just going to start at the bills list because that's where it starts. The bill list for this evening, 7/23/24. Is there any questions?
Not for me,
Okay.
consent.
Okay. Resolutions. So resolutions being pulled, from what I understand, are 223. Is that correct? Okay. 226.
Yes.
229.
No,
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 229.
no.
Oh,
No.
I'm sorry.
we're keeping
Sorry.
229.
Yeah, we're keeping that. That's gonna stay on.
Okay.
230, 233.
230, 231, and 232 are
Yeah.
Correct.
pulled.
Right.
Okay,
31, 32.
okay. Okay.
QRS.
And I think that's all that I have, so I don't know if anybody else has anything.
No, that was it. Everything else is consent. I move for consent.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda is implemented. Okay.
Excellent. So now what does that mean? We just voted on a new CFO. We can announce the name now, I assume? No?
Well,
Do we want to notify him first?
Yeah, I
You
think.
okay with it, or-
there
We have
has
to put
be-
in the name. We have, we have to put the name in.
So
Right.
can I ask something? Because, so as far as announcing, can you announce this person tonight without them, have they?
Accepting?
We're gonna make a job offer.
Yeah, we're making the
I
offer.
think you can read it into the record. It's your
Yeah.
decision.
You
But
should
are they
read it into the
prepared to
record.
Talk to their, where they're leaving.
Oh.
from? Yeah. like-
Oh, okay.
And have you
so
negotiated
Yeah.
salary?
That's not our job.
I know, but have they
I don't-
been?
So are we not announcing this now? Then that's fine. We can just
Yeah.
move on.
I don't know how you vote on it if you don't say who it is.
Yeah.
Right, how do we do that? So,
And we already,
And both candidates were notified that we will be making an announcement.
Yeah.
Oh, they
So
were,
know.
okay, good. Then go
all right,
ahead.
so West Orange, tonight we deliberated and decided to appoint John Detiniak, CMFO, CCFO, as our new chief finance officer or financial officer. Each of us had an opportunity to interact with him in an interview. We've had his resume for some time and are excited to have him join. So welcome, Mr. Detiniak. We're looking forward to the next tenure in that role. Additionally, we just voted on 22924, which is the garbage contract. For those of you that have been following it, you will know it as option number 1. It is keeping everything the exact same. Now, this was a difficult deliberation. Some of us wanted to go with carts. Some of us did not. Some of us wanted to go with carts, but not just yet. So after the back and forth, we decided to award the contract to 229, the contract to option number 1. And we are going to aggressively look at what our options are starting early next year so we can be prepared for the end of this contract should we wish to make any changes, which would include carts. And if we do decide to do that, we're going to go through a massive education program in town. There's several other things on the agenda that we just approved. I don't think we have to read them all into the record. But those were the two that I thought had the most interest in the public.
Excuse me, Council President,
Sure.
could we just add also, because I know one option that we got a lot of input back on was the commercial component, and that's something we felt that we should look at, but yet not at this time. So we appreciate the options that we're giving. But there was a lot more due diligence we felt that we needed to exercise and configure for the entire township. So that was, we're a big town that's have different neighborhoods, and what works from some neighborhoods may not work for all the neighborhoods, but we're committed to getting there.
And I would hope next time when we do this reconsideration of our waste management, that we also give the public an opportunity to weigh in advance, so that we can do an appropriate poll of our community and see what they're interested in as well.
I think that's a very important step.
Yeah.
And that needs to be done, and it's going to take some time.
Thank
Right.
you, Council President.
Oh, you're welcome. Finally, for me, I voted in favor of 236 and 237 awarding contracts to Battaglia and to PKF O'Connor after having voted against it at least one or maybe two meetings ago. After speaking with the employees in town hall most directly affected by the voting down of those contracts and having further conversation with the administration regarding a longer term approach to solving some of the labor challenges we have. In compromise, we are going to allow I voted in support of these limited contracts through the end of the year with the condition that we add another employee into our finance department, which in addition to the ones that you're already trying to fill, as soon as the budget gets approved, we expect that job will be advertised, and hopefully more help will be on the way to those in the finance department. All right, that's it. We can go to anybody want to say anything else before we go to ordinances?
No, but we echo
Well,
your
I
sentiments.
do have, we can't go to ordinances just yet, only because.
Gotta take care of the ones we.
Right,
tabled.
223 was pulled for the forensic auditing. So do you want to?
Can we
No,
table
so, yeah,
Well, that's what I was gonna ask.
So
Do you
I'm
wanna
gonna
make a
move to
motion
table. I move to table.
Right.
so,
I need a second.
wait, can we just, all of them? Because I thought that was what we
Yeah,
agreed to. So let's just,
Well, it's
Take
not
them one at
all
a
of
time.
them
Garbage.
you can't do.
because, the
We
three
don't have to-
garbage
we don't
ones, I
have to
just have
move
to
those.
call for a motion and you don't have to answer because we already picked someone, obviously,
Yeah.
but legally, I just
These
want
we're
to
gonna
make sure I
come
have it
back
on the
to.
record that there was no motion, it failed, we picked the first one.
So there are two that
There's
are going to
three.
be tabled?
230, 31, 32,
Those are voting no.
those were not even, I'm gonna call for a
Gonna,
motion.
motion and
they're
no
not gonna
motion will be
answer.
offered. But there are two that are being tabled.
Yeah,
Right, but-
226 was the other one.
All right, so
Mhm.
223 and 226 are gonna be tabled. I have
So
to
I
do
move
that.
to table.
All right, I'm gonna do them individually.
23.
Right, and then I need a second for that.
Second.
Then we need a
And then I
vote.
just have to do a roll call.
Okay.
Councilwoman Castellino to
Yes.
table,
Yes.
and they'll be tabled to August 6th.
Our next
correct?
meeting,
Okay.
correct.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
Okay,
I move to table 226.
Second.
okay. Councilwoman Castellino.
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
Okay. All right, now 230, 231, 232, obviously you're not going to make a motion because we already,
We'll just call for a motion.
right. So is there a motion to approve 230-24? Seeing none, the motion fails or the resolution fails. 231-24, is there a motion to approve? Seeing none. 232-24, is there a motion to approve? Seeing none. Okay, so that's
I
taken
have a
care of that.
request, please.
Councilwoman.
Thank you. I would like for the administration to give us revised numbers on the increased cost of the garbage contract from the 15,000 that was 15 million that was put into the original municipal budget for 2024.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what the numbers are gonna be now that we have approved number one. Thank you.
And now we go on to ordinances. Ordinances on second and final reading, 2859-24, an ordinance amending and supplementing chapter 7, traffic subsection 7-32.2, restricted parking zones of the revised general ordinances of West Orange, 52 Hazel Avenue and 122 Whittlesey Avenue.
Now I move for adoption on second and final
Well,
reading.
it's to introduce on second and final
Introduce,
reading.
okay.
Second,
Okay. Councilwoman Castellino?
yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President Rutherford?
Yes.
Okay, public hearing.
Public comment is now open for those that are in the gallery, 2859. Any public comment on this ordinance on second and final reading?
Okay.
Seeing none, public comment is now closed.
Okay.
I don't have any
Is there a
comment.
motion to approve on
So
second and
moved.
final?
I move to
Yes.
accept on final reading 2859.
Second,
Okay,
We're supposed to not say so moved anymore. We're supposed to put it into the record because if someone was watching it from the public and we don't, and we just say
I
so
got it.
moved.
Okay.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President Rutherford?
Yes.
Okay. 2861-24, an ordinance amending and supplementing chapter 20, streets and sidewalks and subsections 20-1 et sec of the revised general ordinances of the Township of West Orange. Is there a motion to introduce on second and final?
I move to introduce on second and final.
Second,
Okay. Councilwoman Castellino?
yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President Rutherford?
Yes.
Okay.
Public comment is now open on 2861. Is there someone in person in the chambers that wishes to make a comment? Now is your turn. Seeing none, public comment is now closed.
Okay. Is there a motion to
Move
approve?
to
on-
approve 2861.
Thank you.
Second,
Councilwoman Castellino?
yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President Rutherford?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 2863, calendar year 2024 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank.
I move to introduce on second and final reading.
Thank you.
Second,
Councilwoman Castellino?
yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President Rutherford?
Yes.
Thank you. Public hearing.
Public comment is now open. If anyone would like to comment in person only.
Todd DeBovi, Burnett Terrace. I have to question why you would approve allowing the township to go over the budget, basically. It's not fiscally prudent. I've complained about fiscal prudence with this administration for a long time. And many of the decisions that I've seen, even recently and tonight, don't seem to follow a fiscally prudent approach. So I'm questioning the need to pass this resolution or this ordinance. But you haven't even passed the budget yet, and you're already, voting to approve going over the municipal appropriation. It doesn't make any sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeBovi. Mr. Abbott, do you want to address that?
We'll have a CFO soon enough to do that, but I will give it my best shot. So what Mr. Gross had told me was this is a statutory requirement that it's done every few months just to establish the cap bank and to ensure there's enough money to pay all the bills.
So, just gonna read the headline. We had a robust discussion about this in our last meeting. 2863 24, calendar year 2024 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. It was explained to me similar as you've expressed that this is a statutory thing. It allows us in case we need to be able to do it. It does not require us to. And part of the conversation, I think you were here, I'm not sure, you come to most of the meetings, but part of the conversation was around the 2.5 to 3.5 increase that's stated in the ordinance, because we were only at a proposed 2.47% increase. So the question was, why do we need to give the ability to go between 2.5 and 3.5 if we're not even at 2.5 yet? All right, which is a reasonable question, and it was answered in what I will characterize as a reasonable fashion by our retiring CFO, which was one, it's a statutory thing, but two, we haven't passed the budget yet. We may need to go over it. We didn't at that point in time. But what we just did tonight with regard to the garbage contract, option 4 would have cost us a little over 15 million. Option 1 cost us a little over 18. So now that 2.47 will certainly be over the 2.5 limit. And had we not done this, I don't know that we could have done it. We would have had to cut somewhere else, which, may or may not have been painful. So I share your concerns. A part of the reason why it took so long to get through executive session tonight is because of those kinds of concerns. What I'll say is that in this particular case, I don't think, I'm relying on information, so that's what it's worth. In this particular case, I don't think this ordinance 2863 falls into that level of concern, although there are plenty of other things that do. I'm going to leave it at that, I think. I don't think this falls into the concern that I hear you articulating and that I've heard articulated in our executive session as well. So I do thank you for your comment, though. Does anyone else want to respond?
No, thank you. I think that sums it up nicely.
Is there a motion?
Did you want to respond?
Oh, sorry.
You did a good job, Councilman.
No, good job.
Is there a motion to approve on second and final reading?
I move to approve on second and final reading. The number was
2863-24.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Second,
Okay. Councilwoman Castellino?
yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President Rutherford?
Yes,
Motion is carried.
thank you.
Ordinances,
We have
Yeah, for the first reading.
okay. 2864-24, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 7, Traffic subsection 7-21, multi-way stops of the revised general ordinances of the Township of West Orange. Do you want me to
I'll
read?
move for
the rest of it?
introduction on first reading.
Yeah, this is on first reading. Is there a motion to introduce on first reading?
I move
You
to
just did
introduce
that.
on first
Okay,
reading.
Thank you.
2864.
Thank you. Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa? Yes. Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President Rutherford?
Yes.
We made a slight error on 228, a resolution rejecting all bids submitted in response to the request for bids for solid waste
Oh,
and
that was in
recycling. Right, so what we can do is we can rescind the previous vote on consent and then take a separate vote. if-
Offer motion to rescind the previous motion on consent.
Second.
Okay. Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President Rutherford?
Yes.
Okay.
Now I
and-
move to,
Well, we
Wait,
don't,
wait, wait.
now I'm gonna call for a motion, but if you're not going to do this, just like the others, then you shouldn't offer any.
Wait, what, we just rescinded, okay, so that's not what I thought we were doing. We just rescinded the entire consent agenda.
No,
No.
only
just that one.
228-24.
Just rejecting the bid.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we only rescinded 228 from the
correct.
consent agenda.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So with that said, is there a motion to approve 228-24? Okay, good. The motion fails.
Pending matters.
Thank
matters
you,
of council
Madam
discussion.
Clerk.
You're welcome.
Can we have an update on,
Can I just wrap the meeting, please?
well, I have a.
You
question.
can ask the question, but you have to ask
Yeah.
to speak. So in our inbox, we have some questions about when we are going to reopen the cannabis application process. The response that interim BA sent said that it's up to us to coordinate with the clerk on when we want to open that process. I just need to understand what that actually means for us from a time standpoint and a meeting standpoint.
So the ordinance was read and accepted on second reading at the last meeting, I believe. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Okay, so it's 20 days following that, which should be within the next week. You can open the process. I think we can kind of do it the same way we did it last time, except we didn't, last time we had the cannabis task force. We don't have that anymore. So the council licenses the entities, not the administration. We'll help you any way we can. We'll advertise for you, whatever you want, but we have to have an open RFA, request for applications from would-be cultivators.
And is there a minimum amount of time that we have to have the RFA open for?
We said 30 days.
We usually do at least 30 days.
Well, we requested 30 days in the change specifically.
Okay.
I just wanted to know if that was satisfactory. There's no guideline.
I would, I don't think there is for this because this doesn't even really come under Paul. It's not a purchase, you know,
Okay.
so.
All right, so we could open it for 30 days. And then once the 30 days are up, the applications that have been submitted, we will then have to sit down, schedule a special meeting to review, similar to ABC. It would be like an ABC thing.
Yes, and there are also parts of the ordinance where entities like police zoning, people do have to get involved at that part, but you would basically accept the applications and tell us, we need you to do your part.
So once we accept the applications, the administration then sends it to the Board of Ed, to the police, fire, whoever they have to send it to.
Go out.
They get their comments, feedback, they send it back to us with a recommendation. And then we deliberate. At that point is when we would deliberate. Because we don't need to have a meeting to send off the applications to you.
No, we need to pick if we get more than the 3, we have to pick them because we've already opened it up to 3 entities.
But also
And we said that they also have to come to us with a location.
Yeah, they have to
Site
cite.
control.
Totally understand that, but the picking part that we don't, where I'm hearing it from you is different than what I envisioned. I envisioned after they made their recommendations, we would review all of those and pick whatever 1, 2, or
My
however many.
understanding is that we're reviewing any application that comes in, not the administration, and that we're accepting and then they vet.
So I think this is semantics. My understanding, and you can correct me or correct us. When we vote to open up the RFA period, that period of time will be open for 30 days. We will receive some number of applications. Once we receive those applications, they're automatically, I would assume, given to the administration.
No,
Mr. Moon,
Mr.
Moon,
Because I had extended to a whole bunch.
Yeah.
So hold on, let me finish, because we went through this already, right? It's not gonna be substantially different.
Tell you what we did on the task force.
Well, hold on 1 second. I know that Mr. Moon gets it. I also know that you send it out to each one of these various spaces. the question was, there's no interaction from the council with Mr. Moon that would then forward those applications to you so you could get them to where they need to go, get their feedback. You receive that back for us so that we have a completed application to review.
If they come into you first,
They do.
right, and then you give them, so on the task force, didn't the task force review before it went out to any other department?
Okay,
We
so,
made recommendations, but there is no task force.
So wait.
I understand, we're the task force.
but there was a work in progress because we were developing the process. So I believe, and I'll let the chief check on this tomorrow. We'll have to go back and look at some notes and whatnot. But I think what should happen is there's a checklist of all the things now that we require just with the application.
That the clerk has.
So there should be a checklist, a form that you check off. Now, one of those requirements, obviously, one was the operating agreement. So we know who the stakeholders are right up front. And the other requirements that we have listed, and then once that's all completed, after the 30 days, we would get the applications, and then we would decide as a group, and we could do like an ABC hearing, which ones we want to interview. Now, no candidate should be interviewed without either a valid lease agreement or a purchase to buy the property.
That's the problem we ran into last time with people had letters of intent, but they weren't.
No letters of intent.
Yes, and we agreed to not to do that this time to make sure that when we
It's in the ordinance.
interview, it was in the ordinance, so when we
It's in the
interview
ordinance.
people, and then at that time, when we go to interview, when we're ready to put somebody to vote on for the final application, we also put in there, if I'm recalling, folks at home, it's 10 after 1. That's why I'm not thinking so clearly. We also voted to put in there that they have to notice 200 feet at that point in time instead of waiting. So if there's an issue with a location within the community, we know right out of the gate, as opposed to waiting,
Right.
further into the process.
So that
And
will,
so-
that will all need to be in a completed application.
Right.
I think this is the question you're asking. The answer would be, you're right. This wouldn't come back to you until.
Well,
all those
that's
things-
completed. Yes, because we
We
should
don't wanna
not
waste our
be
time.
interviewing anyone
No.
unless all the Ts are crossed, and the
That's
Is are
right.
dotted.
I agree.
In addition to that, we're gonna do our interviews in executive session, because again, I don't think that the interview should be done in front of the public.
So
They have too much proprietary information.
Okay, so the task force interviewed the first round of
Exactly.
questions in private, but I
Then
think
they came back to us.
then they came back to us, and then they'd have to go over. See, the things like security and things of that nature, some things you could ask in private, but certain things you can't ask in the open.
But the task force didn't do their interviews publicly, not the first round. They were all done.
Not the first round, but the council's interviews were
Right.
public.
I
and
understand that,
yeah.
but we now are the task force, and I think we're gonna be able to ask questions that are going to be proprietary, and I don't think that should be exposed to the public.
Well,
No.
the statutes actually allow for that to be confidential. With the cannabis laws, they're exempt from Oprah, et cetera. So
Yeah,
I would think you would want your first round to be in some type of executive session.
Yeah, exactly. That's
So
what I'm
the,
advocating for.
the question was, the original question was, like, what kind of time commitment is that from us, and meeting commitment is that from us? So if we open it up, whenever we open it, we're going to have to put on 2 separate meetings, one executive, one public. First off, is there any time requirement? Is there any time, so it has to be done? a
Not
certain
unless we
period of
built
time?
it in the ordinance. I don't remember that.
And we didn't put it in hours,
Yeah,
but
so no, I don't think.
state
there's-
doesn't
I mean,
care once the RFA is
Well,
done?
the candidates may be under some.
Pressure.
Yes, some pressure from the state to get this done, but it remains to be seen, but I would suspect you're not going to get an overwhelming number of applicants because they have to show site control and they have to be in an industrial area, and there's just very
No.
little. So once they acquire a place, you know, if you only have two or three, you may be able to just do them before council meeting, you know, maybe an hour early, something like that.
So if we were to, we would have to go 20 days from,
I like to get the budget done first.
Yeah, I
before we
think we need
start
to get the budget done.
booking extra meetings.
Exactly.
We're almost there.
And do we need to weigh in with Mark Moon and get any feedback from him on?
Well, they gotta do
Process.
they gotta do the due diligence, but
Yeah.
so it's 20 days from the 10th.
Whatever the last meeting was.
So we could open it August 1st, the RFA. Does anyone object to opening the request for applications on August 1st?
Is the packet ready? I think we need to
I think
lean on.
the application is the same.
No, it's not.
I
It's
think we
been
should wait.
updated a little bit.
I mean, there have been some minor changes to the ordinance, but
Well,
it's
let's not-
substantially.
Let's not give, I was gonna say, let's
Yeah, I
not
think we
give
need to
legal a
think it through
deadline.
and better
Let's let-
understand the process.
No,
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Chief?
We'll have Mr. Moon take a look at the application,
Right.
we'll take a look at the ordinance, see if anything has to be changed and get it out.
And then put it-
So then it doesn't just require us to coordinate with the municipal clerk. So we need to, so that, do we need to do anything formally with Mr. Moon to request this?
Not that I can think of, I think we just need to have him, which Madam Clerk can call him and just say, can you take a look at the application in light of the amended ordinance and see if the application needs to be changed?
All right, so let's do that. And then also,
and I don't mind Council President calling him to ask him
please do.
about what we did in the process, and so Madam Clerk has the right checklist and all the other. I'm definitely gonna need that. You know, because we gotta get organized with,
Yeah, this has to be done right.
and I'll do it tomorrow.
So, and ask him also what the time frame he needs before opening up the application process.
Okay. And I'll respond to the Madam Clerk and she could get that to everybody.
Thank you, Councilman.
I just have, I'm sorry, we done with this part?
I'm done
Council?
with that. That's
Yeah,
enough.
to.
So just a quick question, because we were talking, you know, in regards to the budget. So there, obviously tonight, and the question was asked earlier by my colleague about the increase now with, because obviously option 4 was in the contract, you asked for the difference, and what that will be. Then we have the other items, amendments that we were talking about, all the,
Some of them may have
so,
changed.
so, we have to get all those figures together, and how do you want to go about handling that? Because what's our timetable? Because, you know, we got to get that done, and then we got to also do the capital budget.
Yeah.
So I totally agree. What, I don't know. I think switching from option 4 to option 1 on the garbage contract
Cost.
is going to change some of the potential changes to the budget.
That's $3 million, so that's an extra 3 and 4, 5. Oh, God, okay.
Yeah, it's
And
about,
we could do even, I know I don't want to do Zoom, but.
No, let's not do Zoom
No,
for the
we-
budget.
no. So we need to, but we made a lot of list of additional staff that we.
That was already in the budget. All of those additional.
No,
there
there were
few
some, there
that
were a
people
few
asked
extra.
for, yeah, in
So-
person, yeah.
So, you know, there was copious notes there. Yeah, everybody had their own set of notes.
Mm.
You know, we need to combine those notes to see where we're gonna.
How long will it take us to know what the proposed increase is now that we've chosen option 1 on the garbage contract?
So we can do the, you're talking about the gross number? Just-
Yeah,
Yeah.
I strained the
Gonna have to rework.
Somebody have them.
Well, let's get it tomorrow from the finance office, number 1, and number 2, if you don't mind me making a recommendation that we also get per, what is it, 600,000?
he used 300,000.
300, what that dollar amount is, so we have the guide emailed to us, so we could look at our notes and start thinking of what, you know, any additional increases.
We
that
also
you're gonna
need to
put
know
in.
what that, what those payouts are gonna be, chief, if anybody retires. That's not
Yeah.
in the budget yet. So we need that, because if we have to, I know you said we bond the money, but I think we need to understand what that might look like as we're going into this budget. It may impact how we make some additional changes. Is that it? Because I have a couple things.
Yeah, do we need a date though to schedule so we could get this done, or where are we at with that?
We might have to wait so that we make sure that Councilwoman Gabor Michael is available. We don't know what her schedule is.
You
So
could
maybe
poll us then.
if Madam Clerk could just put some dates out.
Yes.
Thank you, Council President.
You're welcome.
Wanted to, Mayor,
You were just going on by yourself without it, so why stop now?
because sometimes you're a little slow in giving people the green light. But 80 Main
It's a little
Street,
quick and jumping the gun and talking over people in the council.
Okay, we're all tired, we're tired,
Yeah,
we're tired.
And
Let's-
it's annoying and it's unnecessary and I think it's intentional. They should stop.
I think you should stop as well, a lot of things.
I'm
But
glad-
we're not gonna go there tonight. I'm just gonna go ahead and make my comments if I may. And I wanted to address 80 Main Street and the removal of the trees. So there was a lot of inquiries about why all the trees came down in front of 80 Main Street. The letter that we received from Mr. Kipp, our forester, as well as others in the administration, there were 3 trees that had fallen, one across 80 Main, one in the parking lot, and another on the grounds as well. One on a car damaged the car. And so they cut those trees with permission, so that they would prevent any additional hazards as well as liability. And they have a replanting, not that I have seen it, but they do have a extensive landscaping plan that has been presented to the administration or to the appropriate board. But I did want to address that. There were tremendous concerns about just the removal of the trees. And then I also wanted the administration to discuss the CCRB positions, if you will, please.
Sorry, I was looking for the
Or email
options that, yes, what would you like?
CCRB positions. We had made some recommendations.
So we have,
recommendations.
the mayor has one opening and you have one opening, but I don't have any candidates.
So I had a candidate who is not allowed to serve because of their aspirations politically. So, you know, now we're back to square one. I have put out some feelers for some folks that may be interested, just haven't gotten anything back yet.
Is that a 1-year term or is it longer?
I want to say it's 3. I'd have to check the ordinance.
What's the time commitment on that?
It's not going to be much. It's probably going to be like maybe, there's a little training to begin with, and it's probably going to be like quarterly.
Okay, thank you. That was all of my inquiries for the evening.
I am interested in going home, so I'm gonna.
I'll second that.
A second.
Let's make.
To adjourn the meeting.
Out there, so.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Before we